ESPN 1080, The Team presents here, ESPN1080.com Insider Show. I'm Eric Lopez, your UCF and Magic Insider. I'm joined alongside Andrew Melnick, NBA and NBA Insider. Andrew, welcome.
Hey, Eric, good to be here. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good. And also joined by our MLB and Rays Insider, Jason Collette. Jason, how's it going?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's going great today.
It's going to be good. Coming up, we will break down the Rays have made an adjustment to the starting rotation. Brian Sabian has made some interesting comments this week, which Jason is looking forward to certainly break it down. Plus, we got a live report from Tallahassee. We'll break down the Tallahassee Regional, UCF and Florida State involved in that. And we'll have our guest, Brandon Helwig, will be scheduled to join us, isn't he, Jason? You just talked to him.
Yeah, just bring him on 10:40.
Beautiful. So we'll have that on. But first, we're going to kick things off, Andrew, with NBA. Game 3, the Mavericks and the Heat tonight split 1-1 each after the Mavericks have that magical comeback or Heat collapse. Depends on your perspective. And that'll be my first question to you. Was Game 2 a Mavericks comeback from 15-point down or a collapse by the Heat?
Well, usually I'd call that a collapse by Heat when you have that much talent and you come down and you just decide to stop attacking the basket, take a bunch of jumpers. You know, Dwayne Wade only takes, 2-3 shots down the stretch after having an incredible game. But this is the second time in 4 games Dallas has done this exact same thing. I mean, they had the comeback against Oklahoma City down 15 as well. So maybe this is just a trend for the Mavericks.
Certainly was a trend. It was a stunning result. The Heat seem to have control on their way to being up 2-0, but Dallas finishes off strong. Dirk Nowitzki closing it out big, and boy, what a clutch performance for Dallas, who all of a sudden evens the series 1-1. Chris Bosh, even he's still kind of stunned at what happened.
Yeah, when I look, again, I don't watch many of the games, but I'm a guy that looks at statistics. When I look at this game, and it's a 2-point game, yet the Heat took 33 pointers, and the Mavericks took 17. I mean, to me, why do you, as Andrew just said, why do you stop attacking the basket? That's one thing, but why are you taking jump shots from 23 feet 7 inches out at 30? I mean, to me, that looks like a box score of a team that lost by 13 and not lost by 2. I mean, that's really ridiculous.
Absolutely, and that's going to be a key there, Andrew. I mean, what do you want to add on to that? I mean, that's pretty really, that's been the stat to me that jumped out as well so far.
Yeah, it's funny because the Mavericks are the team that we expected to be taking a bunch of threes. Yeah. I mean, they got a bunch of good shooters, including Dirk, and then, Jason Kidd's become a very good three-point shooter. Page has always been a great shooter. Jason Terry, a great shooter. So we'd expect that to be the team that's taking all these threes. Miami's not going to win games taking 33-pointers like that. And you're right. I mean, when you look at the box and everything, Dallas dominated the boards.
41-30. I mean, they're doing the Mavericks a lot of favors there.
Yeah, shot better from the free throw line. Made one more free throw even though shooting 3 less. The big difference was the Mavs returned the ball over, letting the Heat get out in transition. We all said that was one of the keys to the series last week, and they didn't do that in the fourth quarter. And Dirk, of course, I think he was 5 of 16 at one point. Winds up 10 of 22, 5 for 6 down the stretch. And, just went crazy. And I think that's kind of funny. And I thought even after Game 1, the Heat won, Dallas had a lead. But I didn't think it was that bad for Dallas because I thought the Heat got some bounces that they don't usually get. Kind of got on the offensive glass, which is something that's not going to keep up, I don't think, in the series. That's a bit of an outlier there. So I thought things looked pretty good for Dallas. I still like Miami mostly because of the format of the series, though.
Let's hear from Chris Bosh and his thoughts on what happened in Game 2.
I don't really know what happened. We had everything going. We had the momentum going. I think they kind of took us out of our rhythm a little bit. They showed us some different looks, and we were playing against the shot clock pretty much the whole end of the fourth quarter. So, we're going to have to make some adjustments and do better in Game 3.
All right, Andrew, what adjustments do the Heat need to make here?
Well, number one, that guy we just heard from should not be covering Dirk down the stretch of games. I mean, you've got Udonis Haslem, who's done a decent job on Dirk in the past and looks healthier. I mean, he's able to play longer stretches. He had that one big game against Chicago. And then you've got LeBron James, who's about as good as it gets defending the perimeter, even though he's given up a little bit of size to Dirk, but not much length. I mean, that's the first thing you have to do. And for Miami, when Dwayne Wade hit that 3 and they went up 15, I mean, I know both of you, all the listeners, thought the game was over, and Miami pretty much packed it in like it was over as well.
Now that was the big controversy. Did they over-celebrate? Dallas felt they were celebrating a lot at that point. Did you buy into that? Is that a big deal, or is that just something that was overblown?
Not for me. If it was any other team besides the Heat, I don't think it'd be a big deal at all. And, it's the NBA Finals. They go up 15. Looks like they're going to take a 2-0 lead. And, LeBron and a bunch of these guys are going to get their first title. And Chris Bosh is going to get his first. So I don't necessarily think they over-celebrated. And I have no problem with the celebration.
I did find it weird. I mean, this is the team, the Dallas Mavericks, that has Jason Terry, who does an airplane after he makes, a nice 20-foot jump shot in the second quarter. So let's not get carried away there, Jason.
Yeah, he wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing that airplane when he gave up the wide open 3 to Mario Chalmers. So.
No, that's correct. So now that the series switches to Dallas, you mentioned the format, it's a 2-3-2. So the next 3 games are in Dallas, and we have Dirk Nowitzki has his thoughts as far as now the next 3 games being at home.
We're not going to approach the next 3. We're going to approach the next one like it's our last. I mean, you cannot get a split and get a huge emotional win in Game 2 and then go home and lose Game 3. So as far as I'm concerned, the next one is the biggest game of them all.
There you go, Dirk Nowitzki there. You gotta love that voice, don't you? There, Jason, old German voice.
Yeah, and I still think it's kind of funny now that just because of all the Heat hate, America's team is led by a guy from Germany.
That is correct. Basketball savior, the German. So they go to Dallas. 3 games. Talk about the format. You think it's an advantage to the Heat, though? Why is that?
It's so hard to win these 3 games in a row. I think it'd be so much better for Dallas if maybe they could take these 2 in a row at home and then wrap things up in a Game 6 in Dallas, when I think it's almost certainly going to come back to Miami. Whether it's I don't think it'll be over in 5 no matter what. Whether it's 3-2 Heat or 3-2 Mavericks is my only question.
That'll be the question. LeBron James has not been to the free throw line. He's settled for jump shots. Sean Marion, I thought, has played a magnificent series. That's been my surprise. I think he's been the Dallas's most consistent player. What is LeBron? I mean, is that really the key there? LeBron has to be more aggressive, get to the free throw line, and stop settling for the jump shots? Is it as simple as that, or is Sean Marion doing something to kind of get to LeBron?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing something. I mean, we saw him do a really good job on Kevin Durant in the last round, too. He's a good defender, playing, I think, a little above what he can do. The biggest surprise for me, though, because he's defended well the whole postseason, is you're already scoring. I mean, 20 points Thursday night. The game so far apart, I'm losing track, and had 16 points on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So the guy has been a big surprise, and Dirk is still the biggest reason they're winning, but Sean Marion's right there with them. And as for adjustments, I think it is that simple. I mean, LeBron's got to be more aggressive. In each game so far, LeBron's taken the 3rd most shots on the team. We're talking about the best player in the NBA. Now, I understand what happened the other night. He kind of let Dwayne Wade was going off. LeBron kind of stood back and let him do his thing, which I don't think anyone has a problem with that when Wade's feeling it like he did. But, yeah, 3rd most shots on the team, 2 games in a row. Chris Bosh taking more shots than him. I just don't think that should happen.
What kind of adjustments do they need to do?
The other night, they wouldn't have had to make a 15-point comeback if they just weren't turning the ball over. I mean, they totally turned it over 20 times, and the Heat got 31 points off turnovers, which I saw was, I can't remember if it was a playoff record overall or just a Miami Heat playoff record, but that just can't happen. I mean, we see Dallas winning almost every statistical category, and that's the reason the Heat got such a big lead.
I mean, the other thing I see there is at the free throw line, you talked about LeBron not getting to the free throw line. The Heat shooting 70% in this series so far from the stripe. The Mavericks are shooting 80%. That's right there is a big difference, and that's where they're filling in these gaps. And as you said, when you're going back to Dallas and try to win 3 straight, usually you see this kind of ebb and flow where a team will win the first 2 at home and then kind of figure, you see a lot of Game 5s kind of become blowouts for the visiting team because the home team's figuring, we got to win 1 more. Then you come back home. The host team gets to come back home and try to win one of the final 2 there or take them both in regard. Because you kind of see the ebb and flow. I can remember growing up as a Houston Rockets fan. I remember the Rockets going to playing the Celtics in the 1986 finals. And the same kind of thing. The Rockets ended up blowing out the Celtics in Game 5. They get back to Boston, and it was, it's over. So it's one of these ebb and flow things with this series, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Should be interesting. Game 3 tonight, 8 Eastern. What's been your impression of the TV coverage of the finals? Have you liked ABC's coverage of the finals there, Jason and Andrew? What do you guys think of the coverage?
I made a comment to Andrew off the air. I'm surprised we really haven't heard from Mark Cuban yet. I mean, for me, the whole thing, my one takeaway is I really want to see David Stern have to hand that trophy over to Mark Cuban. But the fact that Mark Cuban's been very quiet is very odd. But at the same time, kind of welcome.
Well, I think it's a superstition thing. I think he's done that on purpose. I think he's kind of learned from the past, where I think he feels that he learned that, you know what, I was a distraction maybe in 06. And you know what, my team's playing well, and I've been quiet, so I'm not going to mess that up.
That might have a little bit to do with it. I mean, no need to give any team extra motivation, as if you even need extra motivation when you're in the finals. But I'm with Jason here. That's what I want to see. I'm no Heat hater. Eric, you know, I've been a LeBron fan his whole career.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see him have to hand that trophy over to Mark Cuban. That would be glorious.
Have you seen anything in the first 2 games? Because I know you picked the Heat before the series in 6.
Yeah.
Is there
we
anything?
all did, didn't we?
Yeah. We all did. All right. Well, I guess I'll ask the floor. Is there anything you've seen in the first 2 games that has changed your mind, that you think, you know what, Dallas actually will win this series?
Yeah, Dallas can defend. They better probably than they have maybe at any time, at least since last time they were in the finals back in 06. You know, they've got an interior presence with Tyson Chandler. Shawn Marion's been a very good defender. Deshaun Stevenson, a pretty good defender, though I think his lack of offense, although he hit a couple threes the other night, I don't know why he continues to be in the starting lineup. But we see he gets only 14 minutes in Game 1, and he doesn't play much in Game 2. A little more, I think, got 22 minutes, 20-something minutes in that game. So that's where I'm going with that. They just defend better.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, this is ESPN 1080 Insiders.com show. Eric Lopez alongside Andrew Melnick. You've been listening. NBA Magic Insider Jason Collette, our Rays and MLB Insider. We'll talk Rays in the next segment. Another big story in the NBA this week: the retirement of Shaquille O'Neal. 19 seasons in the league. He retires from his house, Andrew. From his house.
On Twitter.
On Twitter. He first announced it on Twitter, and then he invites the media, all of us, to his house and had a nice festivities. We were unable to make it, but it was a good festivities. Your thoughts, guys? Shaq retiring, Andrew, your thoughts there when Shaquille O'Neal?
Well, I wish I would have gone and seen his house, number one, if we would have had a little more notice about it. But it was time. I really don't think it's necessarily that he wanted to stop playing or he thought it was time to stop playing. I don't think he's physically able to. We saw him try and come back in the playoffs, plays in, 2 games, missed 50, 60-something games during the regular season. I mean, the guy's just done. He physically can't do it anymore.
He's got to add to his collection of Oscars there as well on his shelf. So, I mean, that's the big thing. Hey, to me, when I saw the retirement announcement, it was one of those, the slaps in the face like, man, I'm old. I mean, I watched that guy play since he was a freshman in college at LSU. I remember I was at the draft party when the Magic took him. Yeah. I remember when I was a classroom teacher, sitting in my 5th grade classroom when the announcement came that he was going to the Lakers and throwing something at the wall. It was, I remember this guy's whole career is just amazing to see. I hate watching athletes hang on too long, so I'm glad he's retiring and not trying to come back again next year and do that. You look at, from my baseball perspective, you look at a guy like Steve Carlton, one of the 10 best pitchers of our lifetime, and this guy hung on and pitched for 5 different teams in the last 3 years of his career and looked awful doing it. So I'm glad Shaq was going out before it got even worse.
Yeah, and the guy just does not like Kobe having one more championship than him. When we see him latch on with Cleveland and LeBron last year, then he heads to Boston this year. Obviously they were in the finals last year, a couple legitimate contenders. So I think that's why he kept hanging on. He wanted to win another one, maybe even it up, but he just realized he can't do it anymore.
Now, the Lakers have already announced they're going to retire his jersey. The question is, if you're the Magic, do you retire Shaq's jersey?
I don't think I do, just because of the simple fact that he was only there 4 years. And I don't think the Magic have had any jersey worthy of retiring yet. I mean, they've got a guy there now that, should he stay, that jersey's obviously going to be hanging in the rafters. But
right.
Just a 4-year span, as great as he was, I mean, you look at this guy who was, I think, 23-14 as a rookie. You turn them from the worst record in the league to a 500 team immediately, and that's
right.
Before Penny Hardaway came, before that roster got stacked and they made that finals run.
I mean, forgive my ignorance. Have they retired Nick Anderson's jersey?
The only jersey they've retired, I believe, is the fan.
Oh. Nick Anderson, I've said this for years, Nick Anderson's jersey deserves to be retired, and if they're going to do Shaq's, they got to do Nick Anderson's. I mean, to me, Nick Anderson was the first pick of the team, was a player here for years. Yeah, he had the unfortunate episode in the finals and whatnot, but to me, that number needs to be retired.
And I think that's coming soon, don't you think, Andrew? He's part of the organization currently, and Nick. I mean, I
think so.
I think Nick Anderson will be the first Magic player retired.
They've tried to do a couple things. I mean, they did a little tribute to him. We saw, I believe, last season when or 2 seasons ago, or a couple seasons ago because he wasn't the coach, or when the Bucks were in town, they gave a little Scott Skiles tribute, which was a pretty cool thing. And they've made a commitment to that. And I agree with you there. Nick Anderson played 10 years, was their first draft pick. He's the leading scorer. Mm-hmm. And, that's something Nick clearly wants done. I mean, he was dying to get back in this organization after he left, and he's extremely happy to be there now, and I think that's something they should do and will do.
I mean, I guess it's better than the Rays. The only number the Rays have retired outside of the obligatory Jackie Robinson number that they have to have is Wade Boggs, who played all of maybe a year.
I was there on Wade Boggs'
day.
You were there for Wade Boggs' day.
I was going to say, if Wade Boggs has his Rays jersey retired, and I think Shaq and the Magic could work something out.
Yeah, I was there for a Red Sox Rays game. I don't know if they were trying to stick it to Boston or what, but that's the day they chose to do it.
I tried to black out that part of the organization's history. It was just not a good time.
Which is a perfect segue there, Jason. Thank you. That's Jason Collette, MLB Rays Insider, alongside Andrew Melnick, NBA and Magic Insider. I'm Eric Lopez. We'll take a break. When we come back, the aforementioned Tampa Bay Rays on the West Coast. They've made a starting rotation adjustment. We'll tell you more about that, and also the big controversy. They just won't let it go. Buster Posey had to come out with say, move on, people. Brian Sabean had a few choice words. Jason's got a few choice words for Brian Sabean. What that is, stay tuned. You're listening to the ESPN1080.com Insider Show here on 1080 The Team, your local sports leader.
As the 2011 season heats up, your Atlanta Braves are breaking out the big bats.
Swinging a fly ball deep to left center field. Did he get enough? 3-run homer. They're back in it.
And you'll hear every play right here.
Line drive, left field. Another one. Oh, yeah.
Join us Sunday afternoon as the Braves wrap up their West Coast swing as they take on the Angels in Anaheim.
Coverage begins at 3 p.m. with the first pitch at 3:35, right here on your home for the Atlanta Braves, ESPN 1080 The Team.
Aflac for Small Business presents today's small business tip. Nobody knows your small business better than you. Use this knowledge to promote your products or services by offering a course, seminar, or demonstration in your area of expertise. This can be an inexpensive way to educate the community about your company while also establishing expert credibility in your field. This small business tip was brought to you by Aflac for Small Business, providing insurance value for your small business. To find out more on this topic and other small business tips, go to aflacsb.com.
It's the Leaderboard, Mondays 6 to 8 on ESPN 1080 WHOO. This is where the pros come to talk.
Hi, this is Boo Weekly.
Hi, this is Jim Furyk.
Hi, this is Rocco Mediate.
Hi, this is Trevor Immelman.
Hi, this is Zach Johnson.
Hi, this is Woody Austin.
Where the pros come to talk about their game. Live from Celebration Town Tavern.
Hi, this is Corey Pavin, the 2010 Ryder Cup captain. Listen to the Leaderboard, Monday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m., right here on ESPN.
Presented by Carl Black Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Bad things sometimes happen to good people. Did something happen in your life and now you're just having a really hard time with your bills? You're trying your best, but you just can't get your debts under control. Call American Financial Solutions. We can help you get back on track and on with your life. This is not a loan, so home ownership is not required. We offer professional counseling and a customized plan to bring your debts back under control and help you get them paid off. Don't lose any more sleep over your credit card, medical, or collection debts. If you're ready to take control of your debts and your money, call American Financial Solutions right now. 800-990-0352, 800-990-0352. Call right now for a free debt analysis. 800-990-0352, 800-990-0352.
There's a hot new trend sweeping the nation.
Twitter.
Twitter!
The next big thing.
See just how witty we can be in 140 characters or less at twitter.com/ESPN 1080, the team.
Chock full of helpful tweets.
Nowitzki gets the ball outside the three-point line. Works in on box. Spins at the free throw circle. Nowitzki to the basket. Moving layup is good. Dallas leads by 2. No timeouts left. 3.6 to go. James out of the backcourt. To Wade. Here's Wade for the way to 3. It's off the back rim. No good.
There it is. The conclusion of Game 2. The Mavericks and the Heat evening the series up at 1-1. Game 3 tonight at 8 Eastern, early start time. They like to start early on Sunday nights. None of that past 9 o'clock starts, although I do find those opening intros kind of awkward now, by the way. Have you noticed that? This is Eric Lopez, by the way, your insider, alongside Andrew Melnick, NBA and Magic Insider, Jason Collette, Rays and MLB Insider here. You're listening to the ESPN1080.com Insider Show. Those intros, they introduce the Mavericks, then they go to break, and then have the Heat intros. Have you seen that in the openings?
I prefer the way the college guys do it. They alternate 1-to-1, meet in the middle, shake hands. I love the way the college guys handle it.
It's a little overplayed out there. And then they have like this long, drawn-out thing, and I have to listen to Mike Breen talk for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, you knew that's how they were going to do it. I mean, this is the Miami Heat. They are the show. Right now with baseball still pretty early in the year, not even at the halfway mark, NFL literally doing nothing right now. Hockey just not popular enough right now. That's what they're going to do. I mean, Miami is the show right now in sports.
No, it is. But let's switch over now to Major League Baseball. Jason, the Rays, it seems like every week, we've done this show now 3 weeks, and it seems like it's the same story, like it's Groundhog Day. The Rays struggled during the week. They split a series on the weekend heading into Sunday day. No different. Yesterday they picked up the win in Seattle. Jeremy Hellickson picked up a great win. Joe Mann announced he made an adjustment to the starting rotation. Talk about that.
Yeah, he did. It was nice to see Hellickson get the win yesterday. He's coming off a month of May where he won the AL Pitcher of the Month and AL Rookie of the Month. You don't see a lot of guys pull off the doubleheader like that with that award, but he was able to get that done yesterday. Was terrific, and they need to do something. And the rotation has been a mess. I mean, Joe Madden announced he's going to play with the rotation. Andy Sonnenstein is thankfully out of the rotation and back to the bullpen where he belongs. So what they're going to do today, it's Wade Davis versus Eric Bedard, which we talked about last week. A very tough matchup for the Rays because they don't hit left-handed pitching well at all. You saw that the other night when Jason Vargas threw a complete game shutout against them. But they've got Price and Alex Cobb is going to go into rotation until Jeff Neiman comes back. And what they're doing basically is setting up the rotation so when the Red Sox come to town next week, it's going to be Shields, Hellickson, and Price in that order because this will only be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th game that the Rays have had head-to-head with Boston, and this is where they control their own fate in the American League East. They've only played 4 games against the Yankees and Red Sox combined. They still have 34 games left against these two teams, and they're going to control their own fate in the East.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot, by the way, on that. Red Sox Rays next week. You want to tune in. We're going to have an in-depth breakdown of that series, which, of course, marks the return of Carl Crawford to Tampa. But go ahead, Andrew. You were going to mention something there.
It's actually a big week in the AL East. Of course, you got Red Sox, Yankees during the week. And, yeah, you're right, only 2 games between Boston and Tampa. That's when Boston was struggling and Tampa was struggling. Tampa kind of righted the ship with those 2 wins. And then the 3rd game, of course, got rained out. So they'll make that out up in Boston later. Not sure of the date on that. So, yeah, it's a big week in the AL East. Can really do a lot of moving and shuffling. Could see Boston fall back to 3rd. Could see them get a huge leg up on both teams. Could see the Rays back up near first place by the end of the week.
The schedule's been very interesting in the American League East because both the Yankees are just now wrapping up that West Coast road swing. The Rays are just now getting into that West Coast road swing. But both teams have played a lot of games outside of their division. I don't know if it was intentionally set up like this, but there's been very little interdivision play with these teams. So it's going to be a very exciting time of the summertime as these teams play against each other a lot and whatnot. But you're right, it could open wide up for any one of these teams. Yeah. The Red Sox, Carl Crawford mentioned a few minutes ago, he's now starting to play like the $142 million the Red Sox thought they were going to get out of him. He's really been on fire of late, which has helped because Dustin Pedroia is still struggling out of the gate, is having a very down year for Dustin Pedroia. And John Lackey's coming back to pitch tonight or today against in this series. So it's one of these things where their rotation's shaking out. Daisuke Matsuzaka is out for the year with Tommy John surgery. So that each of the teams is showing a chink in the armor, and now we'll see who can hold up best.
Speaking of chink in the armor, Evan Longoria goes down yesterday again with the injury. What have we heard about Evan? What's the status?
All right. Well, and then initially it was announced as day-to-day, not serious. But, as spent enough time covering the Rays, everything is day-to-day and not serious until it's serious. This was exactly how it was handled last time. Longoria missed 26 games on the disabled list with an oblique injury, the same side that he left with yesterday. So right now they're saying it's not serious day-to-day, but again, this is exactly how it happened last time, and he went on the DL 48 hours later and was gone for almost 4 weeks. So if he's gone, that's going to be a major problem because there is nobody else in the organization. I mean, last year was worth 6 wins all by himself. That's the kind of player he has. That's the impact he would have on a team that's already struggling against left-handed pitching, a team that's already struggling against anybody who's a ground ball pitcher and is struggling to put up offense on a consistent basis outside of Matt Joyce.
Now, today they will take on Seattle, wrap up that series. Wade Davis against Eric Bedard, and I'm speaking as a person who owns Wade Davis. He has struggled a little bit. What has been Wade Davis' trouble, and this is a pitcher-friendly park in Seattle, so in theory it's a good matchup for what's been wrong with him, and will he get it resolved today?
It's been interesting because Wade Davis made a lot of strides last year. In the early part of the season last year, he gave up 18 home runs before the All-Star break. It was just leaving too many balls up. And then in the second half of the season, made a lot of strides, cut down on his strikeouts a little bit to worry more about his location, kept the ball in the park, made a lot of strides. A lot of people were very excited to see what he was going to do in 2011. First couple of weeks of the season looked good, gets that new contract, and all of a sudden he's pitching differently, like he's trying to conserve himself for the entire part of that contract for some reason. But he's been awful. I mean, May he had a 6.06 ERA, had 6 starts, was 1-5.
Yeah.
Really got pounded, and that's been a problem for the back end of the Rays rotation since May 1st. Starters not named Price, Shields, or Hellickson. That group has gone 1-6 with a 6.51 ERA, has given up 19 home runs in 68 innings of work, and has walked more guys than they've struck out. So that Wade Davis is not the only problem back there. Sonnenstein's been back there causing problems. Jeff Dieman, before he got hurt, was causing problems. Alex Cobb's had 2 starts, one where he was tipping all of his pitches, and he looked pretty good the other night against the Rangers as well. So that back end of the rotation, that's going to be the make-or-break thing. The Rays offense, you can do things about that, but that pitching staff, that back end of the pitching staff, if they're going to keep producing at a 6.50 ERA clip, this team's not going to compete.
Yeah, there's some kind of trouble going on with the rotation when you're giving up 15 runs in the first 2 games to Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, Seattle came in, they had the worst offense in the American League in the month of May. The worst by far. And then they come in and give up, and they hit 7 home runs. I mean, they had never hit 4 home runs in a game since the days of Ken Griffey Jr. and Edgar Martinez. And all of a sudden they hit 4 home runs in the same start that Sonnenstein made. So it's been very interesting. And again, today with Eric Bedard, Bedard has always had trouble staying healthy. This year he's staying healthy, and he's looking pretty darn good doing it. So today, if you didn't enjoy watching the Rays get shut out by Jason Vargas, I suggest you don't turn in today because it could be like Groundhog Day there as well.
A couple quick tidbits on Seattle, and then we'll move on to the other big topic in baseball this week. I wanted to, obviously I'm a fantasy league geek. Michael Pineda. Thank you. And Justin Smoke, 2 very big-time prospects. Mm-hmm. Give me your thoughts on the 2 of them now that you've seen them play. I mean, your thoughts on them long-term.
Love Michael Pineda. I was very happy the Rays weren't going to have to face him in this series. The guy has been unbelievable. Most of the time, I'm not a big fan of organizations having guys come up before spending enough time in AAA, but the guy was just that dominant last year in his work in the minors. He did have some work in AAA, some in AA, but he was that dominant, and he's really good. There's going to be an innings cap on him eventually. They're going to have to pull him off the mound because he's only 22 years old. You don't want to see him pile up a bunch of innings and get derailed like guys have done in the past. But he's extremely impressive to watch. Highly suggest you tune in to watch the guy. He should be on. It wouldn't surprise me if he's on the AL All-Star team as a rookie, which would be impressive. Justin Smoke was a steal for them. They got him in the Cliff Lee trade. It was pretty much just straight up to get Cliff Lee. That's what they got for him. You usually don't see a team give up a prospect like Smoke for a rental player like that, but the Rangers were that desperate, and it worked. I mean, they almost won the World Series getting that deal. That Justin Smoke has a lot of power. You've seen it in this series. You've seen it all season. It was a terrific glove guy as well. Great.
He's not
college
hitting for
guy.
average though. Is that a concern, or is that going to come as he gets experience?
That's going to come with experience. And plus, that's Seattle. That ballpark really is an offensive suppressor. It's really tough to hit in. The fact he's hitting the power as well as he is says something for him. This guy was an amazing player back in college as well. And the Rangers giving him up was a hard thing to take, but it's a franchise corner player there for the Mariners as long as they can keep him.
And he's not really hitting for power, but he is getting on base.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good on-base guy, yeah.
He can do it. I mean, he's, like I said, Seattle's had a problem trying to staff first base pretty much since Tino Martinez left. So it's like, to get a guy like Smoke, that's a guy you can hold on to for 6 years before he's eligible for free agency. And it's a big step up from anything they had in the organization to try to fill that role.
So, of course, that's Jason Collette, your MLB and Rays insider. Andrew Melnick, Magic and NBA insider. I'm Eric Lopez. All right, the other big story in baseball just won't go away. It's the Buster Posey collision.
It's getting worse.
Let's hear now from Brian Sabean, the general manager of the San Francisco Giants. He came on, I believe, at a San Francisco radio station earlier this week and had some choice words about the situation. I don't think he's let it go, people, but you be the judge to listen to his comments.
In amateur baseball, whether it's high school or college, you cannot plow into the catcher.
Yeah.
You have to slide no matter what the circumstance. The catcher really isn't schooled early enough to understand what the mechanics should be, and then the runner, as he gets to the big leagues, is set free to do almost anything he wants that he hasn't done growing up as an amateur.
There's a snippet there. Jason Collette, the floor is yours, your response to Brian Sabean.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, Brian Sabean, please shut up. This is, I also do work for BaseballProspectus.com, and Larry Granello is a colleague of mine. He wrote an excellent article on this on Thursday, pointing out the gigantic hypocrisy of Brian Sabean. Last year, Pablo Sandoval absolutely ran over Ryan Dubin at home plate in the exact type of collision as this was. Brian Sabean said nothing. Date back a few years in 2006 when Felipe Alou was managing the club. Prince Fielder absolutely trucked Todd Green, knocked him out for the season with a concussion. Felipe Alou said, baseball, pure baseball, hardball. Brian Sabean said nothing. So, again, we talked about this last week. This was an example of it not the play itself, but who was hurt. If this would have been Eli Whiteside, the backup catcher for the Giants, I don't think Brian Sabean would have said anything. So Brian Sabean, again, please shut up. You're being a gigantic hypocrite here. You've had this happen in your organization a few times. You have said nothing. It's because of the player that's got hurt. And then your player's not doing himself any favors either. Buster Posey released a statement yesterday, and he closed it out by saying, we all need to move on, so it's not necessary for me to have a conversation with Scott Cousins at this point. I mean, that's not moving on. That's just digging a deeper hole. I mean, man up and say something. And take the guy's phone call. He wants to apologize for hurting you. I don't think he's going to. There was no intent on that play. He's trying to score. But, you need to be able to accept an apology. To say that there's no reason to have a conversation, you're acting immature. You're better than this. You're bigger than this. Both of these guys need to look in the mirror and change their attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel bad for Scott Cousins now because the guy was apologetic immediately.
Sure.
I mean, this is before the death threats, before, all the talk, before the rant we just heard.
I mean, he lives in San Francisco, too. His family lives there. I mean, his family's having to hear this every day, getting the death threats, as you were just saying. So it's they've taken a bad situation, just made it worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these people talk about moving on. Yeah, moving on requires taking the phone call. Moving on requires not talking about it anymore and settling things.
I mean, to me, I want to see Major League Baseball come up and do something with Sabean. I mean, I know they said Joe Torre is going to call it, whatever. They need to do something because this kind of inflammatory language like this is unacceptable. I mean, let's be honest. Brian Sabean as a GM is rather interesting case. I mean, the guy's infamous for signing old players to multi-year deals past their prime. So I'm sure, once Scott Cousins is 38 years old, Sabean's going to give him a 2-year deal anyways.
So you agree he went over the line. What would you do if you're Major League Baseball? How would you discipline him?
He's got to be fined. I mean, you can't.
How much?
$250,000. It's got to be something. You can't have. I mean, let's put it this way. We were talking about NBA earlier. If Mark Cuban was going to say this about a play, let's say somebody leg whipped Nowitzki and took him out unintentionally. If Mark Cuban said this, David Stern would have him, muzzled, never be able to say anything, would get a significant fine. Baseball tends to take care of their business behind the scenes. This is a case where I think something needs to be done publicly rather than privately.
Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm in absolute agreement. I mean, the guy goes off on the radio, and it's just not needed. I mean, we heard Jason talk earlier. He was showing me a bunch of videos before the show where all these things happen. You mentioned a couple of them just now, and it's just a hypocritical statement that wasn't needed to be made, and, he should apologize for it and be fined, and I think it should be public. And, we're here in Orlando doing Magic stuff. We're very familiar with public fines for comments.
I mean, the other thing here is, if you think back when the Cubs were up for sale and Mark Cuban was trying to buy the Cubs, this kind of action is exactly why people were saying, oh, Mark Cuban shouldn't have the Cubs because this is what he would do. And this is what Brian Sabean, a longtime general manager, not even owner, just GM, is saying. So if you're going to be worried about Mark Cuban bringing this kind of verbiage to Major League Baseball, then you got to take care of one of your longtime guys that's been in the business that's opening his mouth like this.
It's going to be interesting what they do with him, that's for sure. That's Jason Collette, your MLB and Rays insider. Andrew Melnick, your NBA and Magic insider. I'm Eric Lopez. I want to give you a quick update, by the way, before we go to break. I've always wanted to do this. I know it's not an official Sports Center update, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. The French Open Finals going on. Rafael Nadal won the first set over Roger Federer, 7-5. He's up 3-1 in the second set in the French Open Finals. See, here on the Insiders, we keep you posted on live events everywhere, my friends. That's what we do. I know that Jason and Andrew are just glued to that update. I know they're fired up.
Oh, tennis? I'm sorry.
That's not. We might touch on that later. Maybe not. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're getting a live report from Tallahassee. Of course, the college baseball NCAA tournament's ongoing this weekend. UCF's going to be on the field in about an hour and 20 minutes. They got a surprise starter. Who is that going to be? Plus UCF football news. They got a commitment from a quarterback that they already had a commitment from. We'll break that down with Brandon Helwig of UCFsports.com next. You're listening on ESPN1080.com Insider Show here on The Team, your Orlando sports leader.
It's Talkin' O'Neill.
These guys were ragging on my hometown when they heard that I was doing this radio interview for a broadcast back in my hometown. And the boys gathered around their Wikipedia editing page and edited in my name as one of the notables from my hometown.
Long overdue.
So as I said, the Wikipedia police are in the lobby. They want to talk to you two clowns.
Keep it here for your afternoon drive with Tuck and O'Neill from 3 to 6 on ESPN 1080, The Team.
If you ride a motorcycle, you might be thinking, oi, Geico customers seem to be having a lot of fun and saving money on their car insurance. But what about us bikers? Why can't we save money? This makes us angry. Let's form a biker gang and go and tell them what for. Oi, hold on, just call it. Geico insures all sorts of motorcycles like cruisers, street, sport, touring and high-performance bikes. So they're on it. Now let's have a little smile.
Now Geico offers insurance on all the stuff that moves you, including motorcycles. Call 1-800-44-CYCLE or visit geico.com.
ESPN 1080 is everywhere, including your iPhone. Get the ESPN 1080 app and listen whenever you're on the go. ESPN 1080 in your iPhone, making life just a little easier.
Are you an inventor, or do you know an inventor who would like to attempt to have an invention or idea patented and submitted to industry? For free information on how to proceed, phone toll-free, 1-800-619-5921. InventHelp, America's largest invention company, has inventors' information you can have free. Record your invention's date of origination, plus get an informative brochure and other material of interest to new inventors from the company whose patent referral services have helped secure more than 7,000 patents. Learn how to get your free information by dialing 1-800-619-5921. That's 1-800-619-5921. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you'll want this free inventor's information. It shows how InventHelp may assist you in trying to patent your invention and submit it to industry. It's a free call, so call now. 1-800-619-5921. That's 1-800-619-5921. Are you an inventor, or do you know an inventor who would like to attempt to have an invention or idea patented and submitted to industry? For free information on how to proceed, phone toll-free, 1-800-619-5921. InventHelp, America's largest invention company, has inventors' information you can have free. Record your invention's date of origination, plus get an informative brochure and other material of interest to new inventors from the company whose patent referral services have helped secure more than 7,000 patents. Learn how to get your free information by dialing 1-800-619-5921. That's 1-800-619-5921. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you'll want this free inventor's information. It shows how InventHelp may assist you in trying to patent your invention and submit it to industry. It's a free call, so call now. 1-800-619-5921. That's 1-800-619-5921.
ESPN 1080, The Team.
ESPN 1080, The Team here. Eric Lopez here. Welcome back to the ESPN1080.com Insider Show. Eric Lopez alongside Jason Collette and Andrew Melnick. And, of course, college baseball postseason underway this weekend. The NCAA tournament going on. one that we got our eye on in Tallahassee, of course, where UCF is about to go on in about an hour and 18 minutes against Alabama in an elimination game with the winner to take on Florida State later tonight at 6. And, of course, the man that is on top of it is live from Tallahassee from UCFsports.com. He's covered UCF baseball all year, of course, as well as football, basketball, and recruiting. Brandon Helwig joins us live from Tallahassee. Brandon, welcome.
How's it going, guys? I'm glad to be here. I'm just here in beautiful Tallahassee, Florida, just getting a little breakfast here before I head over to the stadium. It's been an interesting couple of days for the Knights and everything. Honestly, they would have liked to won the first game. As everyone knows, they dropped a close decision to Alabama on Friday, but obviously rebounded back, defeated Bethune-Cookman yesterday in the elimination game, and a little bit of a weird thing. It was the game was in hand. I believe it was 14-5 in the 8th inning. The weather started to roll in, and we had a little bit of a delay, 3 hours and 20 minutes before that one. You could close the books on that one. So, yeah, getting ready now after winning that one. I guess it was after 6 o'clock, I guess, when it started at noon. I guess the final came after 6 o'clock. And so, yeah, getting ready here to play Alabama, who lost last night to Florida State.
Hey, Brandon, this is Jason. With the just learned a short while ago that instead of Chase Bradford pitching, Ben Lively is going to pitch today. Any insight on why Terry Rooney made that switch?
Yeah, well, I think you got to look at Ben Lively and how he pitched against Alabama very early in the season. It was the second weekend. UCF was up in Mobile, Alabama, at a tournament at University of South Alabama. Played Alabama on that Sunday, which is the final day of the tournament. And Alabama did not have the best start to the season. They were struggling at the time and everything else. But yeah, he started Ben Lively, who was the true freshman. Did a really good job. I know he pitched 5 innings, got the win. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but had a very good outing. And that sort of built Lively up into he eventually earned the #1 starting job for at least a few weeks there. Had a win at Rice, I guess, early on in the conference season for UCF. But, you know, sort of curtailed after that. I guess they got into a little bit of a freshman funk, had some control issues and everything else. And so he sort of took his seat a little bit and has pitched in spots, has not been a weekend starter for at least a month and everything. But I think you're just going to see what he could do. I mean, I think he'll have a short leash. You know, I think if in the first sign of trouble, I think Coach Rooney will be ready to maybe put in a Chase Bradford or a Ray Hansen or someone like that can maybe go the distance a little bit longer should there be any issues.
Well, the good news is, Brandon, is that the bullpen is really in good shape despite the 2 games. Terry Rooney has not used the bullpen that much. Winkler went deep into the game yesterday, so he's got pretty much everybody available, doesn't he?
Right. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, yeah. I mean, you know, the only guys who aren't going to pitch at this point, I think, are Brian Atkins and Danny Winkler, the 2 pitchers who started the past 2 games. Nick Sissio, I believe, pitched. It was a little bit one in a. Whatever it was a little bit less than 2 innings. He was the pitcher when it went into a rain delay. So obviously you're not going to put him back out there after sitting 3 hours. I think Sissio's available. He's ready. Brian Brown was the guy who came in last night after the 3 hours and shut him down for the last 2 innings. He's probably more of a fourth or fifth option out of the bullpen. So you know he might. I mean, he only pitched 2 innings, so he'd be available. But there's plenty of pitches they can go through before they get to him.
Brandon, Andrew here. I spent 4 years in Tallahassee at school. Where are you at breakfast?
I am at the Canopy Road Cafe, which is on Monroe. I've been trying different places every day. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It became highly recommended on Urban Spoon. I don't know if those are fake reviews or not. I don't know how. I'm waiting for my Jamaican omelet. It apparently has peppers, jalapenos, and chicken. So I'm hoping I'm not disappointed. There's a new Cajun place called Angelette's, which is sort of, I think, in southeast Tallahassee. I went there a couple of days ago. That was very good.
I'm not familiar with that, but I am very familiar with Canopy Road. I don't think you're going to be disappointed.
Okay.
Other question is, you know, switching gears to football, let's talk about everyone's favorite recruit from last year.
Okay.
So DeMarcus Smith says he's staying with UCF. How long till he's back committed to Louisville?
You know, well, I mean, he really can't. I mean, he signed with UCF, wanted the release. O'Leary wasn't going to do that. And denying the release has nothing to do with DeMarcus Smith. It has everything to do about the integrity of the letter of intent. You can't make a precedent of allowing guys to get out of, where they signed. That's what the recruiting process is for. I mean, guys really are recruited for a year, sometimes more than a year. You got plenty of time to be comfortable with your decision. So I completely agree with O'Leary's stance on that. He really has no options. Louisville, I don't think, even if he got a release, which wasn't going to happen, I don't think he'd have a spot at Louisville. I haven't seen where it's confirmed. I believe they're taking the Missouri transfer, the younger brother of Blaine Gabbert. That was rumored. He took a visit to Louisville. And with all the issues with his recruitment, the back and forth, and all the, rumored ties to the Brandon Benders and Ken Caldwells and all that stuff, I don't think he has a spot at Louisville. So the only thing he can do is either not play football this fall or go to UCF. So I think that's really the root of the decision. I talked briefly with him on, was it Thursday night? He was getting ready to watch the finals game and really didn't want to do the long interview. Plus, might call him back in a couple of days, and I got home from Tallahassee. He was saying all the right things. I know. I talked with Tony Comas, who hosts the Alumni Live radio show, and he did an interview with him, and DeMarcus sounded excited about the decision, and he's ready just to move forward. And then I guess there was a Louisville television report yesterday where he was claiming still that he was forced into signing with UCF and really doesn't want to go there after all, but he just has to. I really don't know what's going on there. I don't really know how important it is at the end of the day when you have a quarterback coming back like Jeffrey Godfrey. If you just think about what he did as a freshman last year, it's amazing. Winning 11 games and doing everything else. I don't really think there'll be a quarterback controversy anytime soon, but it'll be interesting to see if he shows up and then what ultimately happens with DeMarcus Smith.
That's Brandon Helwig, of course, UCFsports.com, live in Tallahassee, covering the Tallahassee regionals there. What's been the buzz over there in Tallahassee? What's been the talk? Are people buzzing about the regionals? And then the two-part question, and that's number one. And then number two, what is the FSU's outlook for UCF, not only in all sports in general over there? I know that that's kind of the FSU. They got high expectations in football as well. But is there talk, is there buzz about UCF over there?
Well, I guess as the buzz would amount to me kind of eavesdropping on other people's conversations, and I've heard a little bit of it. It was, for whatever reason, I guess it stems back from when Florida State hosted UCF in baseball a few weeks ago in early May. They did not like UCF. They did not like the UCF players. As everyone knows, and I can only guess this might be why, I mean, UCF has a lot of swagger out there, and Rooney's big thing is, when you score with authority, and they stomp on the plate, and that, I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but apparently the rumor is that Florida State, they want to play UCF. They hate UCF. They want to beat UCF. And it was just kind of eavesdropping on people. There was some woman the other day, it was before the Alabama game. Some woman was saying, they were asking who she was going to root for, UCF or Alabama. She's like, well, I like UCF, but my husband says we're supposed to hate UCF. We don't like UCF at all. That's what my husband said. So I guess we're going to root for Alabama. So, it'll be interesting what happens if UCF can, obviously they got to get past Alabama, here in an hour or so. And if they do, that gives them the right to play Florida State tonight, who obviously holds the advantage. They only need to win one. So, if UCF baseball is going to play for a championship, they got to win 2 games today. So that would set up a winner-take-all game tomorrow night, Monday at 6 o'clock.
Last question.
Yeah, really haven't heard too much about, a couple people remember the Florida State UCF game in 1995, which was UCF last year of 1AA. Dante Culpepper was the quarterback then. And, but yeah, I really haven't heard too much. People always talk about UCF being the biggest school in Florida and everything else.
No. I don't hate you guys, by the way.
Andrew Melnick, Florida State alum there. That's nice. Andrew, Brandon, we'll get you one last question, but then we'll let you enjoy your remainder of the breakfast there. I'm curious about the crowd. How many UCF fans have made the trip there as far as, any celebrity sightings there of note? How has this tournament been received over there?
I think what's hurt the crowd a little bit is that a lot of people were waiting to see what happened on Friday. And had UCF won, they would have been in the winner's bracket against Florida State. And, that would have been at 6 o'clock, giving people plenty of time to kind of drive up, from Orlando on Saturday morning. I think the crowd would have maybe been, quite a bit bigger had that happened. But still, there's been I'd say at least 100 to 150. A lot of good share of them are parents. There's a couple players. I think Kevin Vasquez has some, ties here to Tallahassee, and then he's got a lot of people in the stands for him. And the crowd got a little bit bigger yesterday. I'm thinking it might be bigger today. Now that people just kind of, when you're planning to go to regional, you don't know how many days you need to stay. 2, 3, 4 days. So now that UCF's back in it and everything, I think we might see a little bit bigger crowd today. As far as celebrity sightings. I Keith Tribble's here. UCF athletic director has been here every game of this series. Former players, I know I saw Tico Vasquez, who played first base at UCF a couple years back, and everything else. That's really been about it. I think I saw a couple of FSU football players at the game. I'm sorry, I don't know who they are.
Right, Jimbo Fisher.
When they walked in, all the fans start, yelling at him and pointing at him and saying hello. And they look like football players, but I couldn't tell you who they are.
Jimbo Fisher apparently has been there. He's tweeted about he's going to the game today, so you might run into Jimbo Fisher there.
Okay,
so be on the lookout for him.
I'll have to say hello.
All right, Brandon, we'll let you enjoy breakfast. Enjoy the games today. People can check out your coverage on UCFsports.com from Tallahassee. You're going to have photos and, I believe, post-game press conferences from there later today, correct?
Yes, I will.
Beautiful. All right, Brandon, thanks for joining us, my friend.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Brandon Helwig, UCFsports.com, live from Tallahassee there, Andrew, your backyard. Breakdown of the breakfast there, breakdown there of the fans there. There you go.
Yeah, that's
some hatred. UCF Florida State. I didn't know we had hatred.
They never play. I don't know why there would be hatred. I don't understand that at all.
Well, there was a little brouhaha early in the regular season, where they kind of bumped into each other. It's a little tense, but I did not know it was escalated to the point where we hate them. I did not know that. I don't know what to tell you, Andrew. We're not going to fight, are we, Andrew?
No. And hey, that's good for UCF. If they're getting a big-time program to hate them, they're probably on the right track.
Exposure is exposure.
Quick word, so we'll be fair. Gainesville Regional, very tense regional. Miami and Florida, speaking of hatred, they do hate each other. Oh, yeah. Very tense game. One of the more, on TV it was tremendous. Florida pulls it out. They win it in 9 innings. They went on the walk-off 5-4. So they're in position to advance with the win today. Miami's got to beat Jacksonville in about an hour, and then they got to beat Florida twice, even if they get to that point. So Florida's in good shape. They're the national number 2 seed. Florida State in good shape. Mike McGee's probably going to start 6 o'clock for FSU at 6 o'clock against either UCF or Alabama, and I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I expect a lot of offense. Like you said, Andrew, off the air, there's not going to be a lot of pitching today. Is your prediction?
No, the pitchers in this region, we saw, Alabama has one good starter. Florida State, we thought, had one big-time starter in Sean Gilmartin. He gave up 5 runs yesterday in the win over Alabama. Mike McGee been going to start later. He's been pretty good since they kind of moved him out of that closer role and into a starting pitching role. The only problem there is he's also the starting center fielder, and he's pretty good there. So there's a little bit of a loss in the outfield.
To me, it's such an uphill climb for UCF because they have to play 2 games today and then come back tomorrow. So FSU's just sitting around waiting for their opponent. So it really is an uphill climb. But in all fairness, they dug themselves this own hole by
losing the Friday game.
The bad game against Alabama.
Got to slug your way out of it. It's possible, but should be interesting to see. So certainly an hour away. There'll be action going on there. We got a few minutes left on the show. Let's we do our predictions. Now, last week, me and Jason, as usual, undefeated again. We were right on the Rays-Indians game. We were right on Virginia over FSU. Andrew went with FSU, his beloved colors.
I did tell you Virginia would win.
Yeah, he did. So,
he did protect himself there.
So let's get our bonus picks here. Let's start off NBA Finals, Andrew. Game 3 tonight, Mavericks Magic. Maverick. I wish it was Mavericks Magic, but no, it's Mavericks Heat. Who wins Game 3?
I'm actually going to go with Dallas. I think they kind of ride that momentum. I think they take this game and take the lead in the series.
I'm going Dallas, and I'm going double digits. I'm saying it's going to be at least a 12-point win tonight.
So do you feel that there's going to be a hangover for the Heat from Game 2? Is that why you're picking that, or no? Just in general, you think they're just
in general, the insanity. I have a lot of friends that live in Dallas, and they're all canceling everything else to get to this game to just be around the arena tonight. This is just a humongous event. I just think that crowd is going to help carry them over, and and the way the Game 2 finished, coming home to that kind of crowd, to me it just seems to be one of those traditional blowouts. It's got written all over it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas too. This could be a turning point. Tampa Bay and Seattle. Eric Bedard and Wade Davis. Does Wade Davis ride the ship and salvage this trip in Seattle?
Wade Davis could have a good pitch. A great game, could go 7 innings, give up 2 runs. I still think he's going to lose. Eric Bedard is just really on top of his game right now. The Rays have shown absolutely no signs of life against left-handed pitchers. Eric Bedard is just an incredibly tough matchup. Longoria is probably out today, meaning this lineup's going to look a lot like a B squad game from spring training, and it could be a 2-1 game in favor of the Mariners. I'm taking the Mariners either way.
Yeah, in the rare occasions Eric Bedard is healthy, he's pretty good. He's been good again this year, so I'm going to go with Seattle too.
I hate this. We agree. I'm going to go with Seattle. I don't like this. We're agreeing. We got to find something we can disagree on. Give me. You guys pick one. What do you want? What else do you want to pick from today? Anything jumps out for you guys?
Let's look at the Yankees-Red Sox series this week. Who do you think's going to win the series?
Oh, where's that series at?
I think it's in New York this time.
It doesn't matter.
Yes,
I'm going Boston. I'm going Boston. I think they own the Yankees this year. Better. Yankees don't match up.
I'm actually going Yankees because, as we heard earlier, Buckles scratched from his start. They do have John Lester going Tuesday, and he's got a great record, but for someone like me that's been watching him, he's not pitching all that well.
No, he's not. I'm going to agree with you. I'd go with the Yankees there, too. Lester's, for all of his stuff, he's still not missing enough bats. I mean, he'll get like 8 or 9 strikeouts, but also give up 6 or 7 hits, 5 runs. To me, for the guy with his kind of stuff, that needs to be better. This isn't a defensive issue because Boston has a good defense. You look at the Adrian Gonzalez, phenomenal at first base. Youkilis at third base, very good. Normally, Pedroia is good outside of his error yesterday to extend that game. In the outfield defense, when you've got Crawford, you've got Ellsbury, you've got Drew, there's not a weakness anywhere on that field defensively. Yet, when Lester's pitching, they're having problems. So I'm going to say it's going to be a 2 wins for the Yankees in that series.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox probably win that Beckett game on Thursday.
All right, we'll see what happens. That'll do it. Reminder, check out ESPN1080.com, of course, for all the website, all the information on your shows. We'll have articles. Andrew will have articles up there. At some point, we will have Jason up there on the site. We're at some point. It's a monumental moment. It's going to be huge.
Yes, we're getting closer.
Closer and closer. So we'll have articles on that. Also, next week, want to tune in here next Sunday, big show. We're going to have a big breakdown of that Red Sox Rays series at the Trop. That'll be the Sunday before that series begins. It's Carl Crawford's return to the Trop. How are the Rays fans going to react? We're going to have a big preview. Jason will talk about it. We're hoping on maybe getting a Boston side of that story. Should be big. And, of course, the finals could be over by then, or it may not. Will the finals still be going on when we come back, guys, next week? Yes. Yes? All right. There you have it. All right, that's Jason Collette, MLB and Rays Insider. Andrew Melnick, our Magic and NBA Insider. I'm Eric Lopez, your UCF Insider. We thank you for tuning in once again for another edition of ESPN1080.com Insider Show here on ESPN 1080, The Team, your Orlando local sports leader.
Me in the ad counts.
Orlando's home for the NBA All-Star Game, NBA playoffs, and NBA Finals. WHOO, Kissimmee, Orlando.